This NBA trade deadline was one of the most eventful and frantic trade deadlines in recent history. There were trades everywhere, and there were so many big names like Ben Simmons, James Harden, Tyrese Halliburton, Domantas Sabonis, Kristaps Porzingis, and many others who were moved. A lot of the trades went under the radar. One such trade, and in my opinion, the best trade based on the value given up, was the Boston Celtics receiving Derek White in return for Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and a first round pick. And today, we are going to talk about why this was such a good trade for the Celtics and why this is the most underrated trade of the deadline. Let's get into it.
They be like smoke. Yeah. Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I drop regular NBA content, and with the NBA season going on, this should interest you, so do subscribe to the channel. Derek White has always been one of the most underrated players in the league. A lot of it has to do with the fact that he's playing for the Spurs, and no one wants to talk about the Spurs post Kawhi Leonard, but he's legitimately been one of the best role players in all of basketball. He's a do-it-all guy who checks a lot of boxes for the Celtics team. And getting him for Josh Richardson, who was always expendable, Romeo Langford, who barely got any minutes, and a first round pick, which will likely be in the latter end of the draft, in a not very deep draft, is an awesome deal in my opinion. Derek White is what the Celtics need and more. He's an elite perimeter defender with a lot of versatility. He's in the 90th percentile in matchup difficulty this season and is one of the best wing primary defenders in all of basketball. Imagine being guards on opposing teams and having to go through Marcus Smart or Derek White. He isn't starting for the Celtics in the 2 games played so far, but it's just as effective. Because imagine being guarded by Marcus Smart, and just when you think you can get a little rest when Marcus Smart goes to the bench, you have to go through Derek White, who is just as good of a menace defensively. He fits perfectly into the switch everything scheme and takes it into a complete new level to which Josh Richardson couldn't. A lineup of Smart, White, Brown, Tatum and Robert Williams is legitimately one of the scariest things in the league. The Celtics are second in the league in defensive rating right now and is going to continue to stay in that ballpark because this lineup, which could potentially be the closing lineup of this team, is legitimately one of the scariest defensive lineups in the entire league right now. He's also one of the best guard shot blockers in the league and is a brilliant closer defender. It's a very small sample size, so take it with a grain of salt. But in the 58 minutes Derek White has played as the Celtics this season, they have a defensive rating of 94.7, which is a ridiculous number. It can change in a matter of possessions, but the flashes of how scary this team can be defensively in stretches are definitely there, and it's very obvious how scary they're going to be. Offensively too, Derek White isn't bad at all. As I said before, he fills a lot of holes for the Celtics team on both ends of the floor. He's a great passer and a decent playmaker. And though Marcus Smart has been that point guard for them in the recent hot stretch, Derek White is just as good in this role in my opinion. He's a great pick and roll ball handler and a decent playmaker. He averages 0.94 points per possession as a pick and roll ball handler and shoots 45.7% from the field on 3.6 attempts off pick and roll. In contrast, Marcus Smart is considerably worse as a pick and roll ball handler, averaging only 0.63 points per possession on 36% shooting. Getting a very capable pick and roll ball handler unlocks a completely new set of actions that the Celtics can run at a high level, and this is going to be very exciting. Jason Tatum has improved as a passer and a playmaker this season. Running him as a screener and unlocking a short roll game for him because of the scoring gravity could mean a lot for this team. Derek White is also a really good driver, and that gives a complete new dynamic for this team. No one on this team really pressures the rim at a very high level. Tatum and Brown are good at it, but they still have limitations kicking the ball out when the defense collapses towards them. I don't think Derek White is like an elite driver at the rim, but he's pretty good at it and is much better passer of the drives than both Tatum and Brown. He's been shooting well over 60% at the rim for the last 2 years, and this new dynamic will open a lot of new opportunities for the Celtics. My only concern with Derek White is his shooting. It has always been pretty inconsistent and is very mediocre. He attacks closeouts pretty well in my opinion, but the ability will be diminished because of how inconsistent of a shooter he is. I also think he has never had a player who has had as much scoring gravity as Jason Tatum does. He has improved in creating advantages for his teammates, giving them much better shot quality, and Derek White is going to be a beneficiary of Jason Tatum's scoring gravity. As long as Derek White is a good shooter, he's going to be awesome for the Celtics team because of everything else he adds to this team, like his defense, passing, playmaking, and rim pressure. Because of everything he provides for this team and all the boxes he checks for this team, this is an awesome trade overall for the little value they had to give up. And this is why I feel this is one of the best trade value wise this deadline and easily the most underrated trade of the deadline. With that, we've come to the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.